Well, we're back here for another episode talking cigars, and we have another special guest here tonight. So we're going to talk. Last time we started talking about pairing drinks and all. We're going to talk about bourbons tonight. So we have our friend here, Kenny, who is our resident bourbon expert, Scotch, and all around. He knows about the stuff. I know nothing about bourbons. How about you, Michael?
I know sometimes if you drink the wrong one, it burns all the way down to your belly button.
Well, he's taking a risk. He got some in there.
Even if you drink the right one, it burned on me the couple of times I tried smoking.
Watch closely, folks. His face is when he takes
This is supposed to be friendly and funny, but not that funny.
Well,
right?
it's going to be funny when I think of. But anyway, we're going to light up our cigars here. Now, tonight,
I'm sorry.
Kenny already got his, but tonight, I don't know, Michael brought a blind one here for me to taste, so I'm supposed to let him know what I think. I have no idea what it is, but we'll give it a shot and see. So we have some different bourbons out here, and we're going to just talk about how they go with a cigar and what it tastes for you and what you like or don't like.
Well, one of the oldest things that with cigars and liquors is brandy. A lot of people would dip the edge of their cigar in the brandy, and that's sort of like what the Swisher Sweet is trying, which is not a good cigar, but that's the concept there. I'm more into the regular whiskeys. One thing we could say about whiskey and how that's different than other spirits like your vodkas and your clear spirits is they pot still whiskey. So the idea is that you should get an essence of the grain that made that fermented. So like bourbon is basically corn based, rye is rye based, Scotch is a peated barley, and Irish whiskey is also barley that doesn't really get exposed in this drying out process to the peat as much as a Scotch does. But we have all bourbons here.
Oh. Got to get past. Would you tell me the one time to get past the bourbon? It's like when you first light up a cigar, it's a little too strong. You don't throw the cigar away. You got to work through it.
You just keep going.
No, you just got to work through it. So I'm going to try that. Now I cheated a little bit. I put a little ice cube in mine.
And that's fine. Like you guys
just
were talking
to mellow
about,
it out a little bit, I guess.
Like you guys are talking about cigars. Whatever it is you like and that you want to do is the thing to do. Don't ever let anyone tell you shouldn't be drinking. Yeah. One thing you'll notice, we have three right here. We have Buffalo Trace, Bourbon, Angel's Envy, and we threw a rye in there too, Templeton Rye. All of these are available here.
Yeah, right. So what's the difference between like a rye and like the Angel's Envy? Like, do you see rye whiskeys and rye? Is it just how it's...
It's the grain. The process is the same. The rye is made from a rye grain and the bourbon primarily from corn.
Okay.
Corn, in order to be called a bourbon, there's three things have to happen. It has to be aged, I think, 2 years minimum. It has to be at least 50% corn in your grain bill, and it has to be done in Kentucky. Otherwise, you can't really call it. You can't really call it bourbon.
Is that right?
Yes.
And then what's the difference? Like, because I know we have a lot here, different years. Like on.
That's how long it's aged. The longer it ages, the better it is. Generally speaking, bourbons aren't aged quite as long as like a Scotch whiskey. There are Scotch whiskeys 15, well, they start at 12, 15, 20. There's even Scotches you could get that are like 50 years old, but you're going to have to take out a second mortgage to afford a bottle.
Right. Yep.
But I'm going to start with the Buffalo Trace. This is a very good bourbon, and it's not terribly expensive.
Yeah. It's very reasonably priced.
Where did you get yours? Where did you find it for the bar?
I think that one I had to go in the Lehigh Valley. Somewhere had some Buffalo Trace in stock. Because some of not all are available in all stores right now for whatever reason that might be. I know at the one time Angel's Envy was very scarce, and even go back to one of our favorites. I know a lot of the guys your favorite was the Blantons, and you don't even see that.
You can't get that
anywhere anymore.
Right now.
We've been trying.
I know guys that took a road trip to Kentucky and they couldn't even get it.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So why do you think that is? Is it just that distillery, or
It's one relatively small distillery, and it's in high demand. So it's like a supply and demand thing.
Mm-hmm.
But we discovered one. We had Whiskey Wednesdays here before the pandemic hit.
Right. We're going to come back into that now once, weather's getting a little cooler now. Because is it true, like, you see more darker, you like to drink something darker like the bourbons when it gets cooler rather than in the summer? Or doesn't it matter?
It doesn't matter to me, but I mean, in the summertime, I do find myself wanting to drink, like vodka and gin more, but I never stop drinking
Right.
whiskey.
It's just not as much.
Not as much. I kind
Just
of
not as
space
much.
it in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, whatever you like, I remember in one of your previous episodes, Michael, I think you were talking about there's nothing like getting a fresh box of cigars. You take the cellophane tape off, and it's just quite an experience. Well, when you get a whiskey like this, first of all, they're corked. There's a cork on the top, unlike a screw cap, and there's nothing better than taking that cork off and hearing that little it's like, oh yeah, we're in for the long
Yeah,
haul.
yeah.
That's part of the whole experience.
Sure is.
Well, how about this? We do that with a bottle of bourbon and a box of cigars. We do them, open them at the same time.
Happy trails.
Right?
How about
Happy
it?
trail.
How about it?
Yeah. Another thing is these glasses for good whiskey. You want to get the aroma from the whiskey so it catches your nose. You would never drink something like this in a shot glass. You want to get the aroma of the whiskey. It gets you ready to go.
Right? Well, anyway, on this cigar, Michael, I'm getting starting out mild. I like the size because that's right in the wheelhouse. What is it, 6x50?
Yep.
6x
Yeah, that's the size.
something like that is real nice. Burning nice so far. A little veiny, but so
That's
far it's pretty good.
That's something that you smoked and we sold in the stores probably 15 years ago.
Really?
It had been just recently reintroduced to the cigar market, and I'll let you know what that is after you get a little further
Yeah,
down.
let me get through it. But I'm enjoying it so far.
Yeah.
Not bite. I don't like anything that starts out burny or burning my tongue or the roof of my mouth or anything. But this is burning real nice. And I'm getting through, with I had the Buffalo Trace. So the first sip was second and third, a little better. Kind of burns as you could feel it going down.
No cartwheels.
Yeah, no,
Later, take it easy.
Right?
But I'm smoking here the Romeo San Andres. One of my
That's my
favorite
next one.
wrappers, San Andres. I noticed Kenny has a San Andres over there as well. Very nice, medium, maybe medium plus. Just the wrapper has a certain unique quality or flavor to it, if you will, that I enjoy, that I look for in a cigar. Very nice, never lets me down. Burns great, draws great. Something I smoke quite a bit of.
Is that a Mexican wrapper on there? Yeah.
Yep.
And you notice sometimes like if I smoke, I don't smoke a lot of stronger cigars. But if you get something with a stronger wrapper, sometimes I have problems. Got to keep relighting it a couple of times. The wrapper sometimes. Is that true, or is that just maybe how I'm smoking it? Maybe. 'Cause I notice that like when I go to a stronger cigar, not often, but once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, wrappers are very delicate, so sometimes to get that wrapper to binder and filler to marry the right way to get that combustion. Plus, you smoke it too quick, quicker than it's meant to be smoked.
Yeah.
It's gonna throw it all off, and it just changes the whole process of the combustion of the cigar.
I was thinking about this, and we were talking out here the other night with a couple of guys on, we always talking about wrappers like this one or that one, and one guy said, wrapper makes such a difference in the taste, but then I was thinking, well, the wrapper's only one thing, but how about the filler binder? So you think the wrapper really has that much of an influence because it's only one leaf on the outside compared to the binder.
What it is the ratio. It's the percentage, right? So the percentage of the wrapper to the binder to the filler, right? So the smaller the cigar is, there's going to be less filler. There's going to be more wrapper as a ratio of the whole.
Yeah.
Wrapper gives the cigar a majority of its flavor, and each, the binder and the filler each have their own, job to do, if you will, in the cigar. So if you're going to smoke a 60, 70, 80 ring gauge cigar, you're getting a lot less wrapper versus filler. And what ends up happening is your cigar is going to burn a lot cooler, and it's going to be a lot more one-dimensional.
Yeah, so that makes sense because I smoke a lot of the 858s because I like the African Cameroon wrapper, but that's what, 6 by 47, 46, 47.
So you smoke
So
a
that's-
thinner ring gauge,
So I'm getting more of a wrapper
more
taste.
wrapper, more complexity. You'll get
I
a lot
never
of
thought of
different
it that
shade.
way, yeah.
It'll change first third, second third.
Yeah.
Versus
And that's
a
how that
60
does.
ring gauge, it's going to taste the same throughout and burn cooler.
And that's the same way, like I just had earlier today, a Hemingway Classic, and the same thing, smaller ring gauge,
Yeah.
and you really get more flavor than say
You know,
you go to
smoke
a
a 60
50
ring gauge, which I know you don't like and I
No.
don't like, and you'll see the difference between, you know, in the same exact cigar, a 60 ring gauge and a 46 ring gauge, it'll be totally different because, you know, it's the whole recipe changes.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
even though it's the same amount, you know, of long
Yeah.
fillers, you know, it's different, you know.
Yeah.
Michael, I was asking Tommy the other day about the binder. A lot of people don't talk too much about the binder. How significant is that? Is it really just there to hold the filler in place, or does it contribute to
Combustion. Yeah, it holds the filler in place, but it also has to be the right binder, you know, and that's how you get, you know, thousands of different cigar blends. You know, every binder per cigar is going to be different. You know, it's not always. It's just not like a one size fits all type of tobacco. You know, they you know, if it contributes to strength, it contributes to the burn rate of the cigar. You know, the combustion to make sure everything, you know, burns nice and evenly. Because you know, a binder is going to be a thicker tobacco than the wrapper. So
And more
you know,
like rougher green, or
it's
not,
yeah. Oh,
it doesn't look good.
It doesn't look good
nice.
at all.
Yeah.
No, I mean a wrapper is going to be very nice and elastic, almost like you could stretch it. You know, really nice and smooth. And when they apply that wrapper on top of the binder, you're like, now that looks like a cigar. You know, but yeah, they each serve a very distinct purpose in the cigar.
Yeah. So what do you think on your bourbons now? So you could taste. You got 3 different kinds there. We did a flight.
Yeah.
So you could see, because I bet you if I would drink all 3 of them, I wouldn't taste the difference between the 3. But I'm sure
My
you
wife,
taste-
she thinks all of this is turpentine. And that's just it. I mean, you like it or you don't like it. There are
Yeah.
people that would never smoke a cigar, would let alone tell the distinguishing features from one versus another.
Right.
But for me, the Buffalo Trace is just a good, solid bourbon. The Angel's Envy is one that we found very recently that we all like, Acorn, and it's because it's aged. I think it's last year in old port wine barrels, and it gives it a slight sweet note on the tongue as you're drinking it. And a lot of people have been really excited about the Angel's Envy.
Yeah.
And I am not missing Blanton's anymore because of the Angel's Envy.
And I guess that kind of holds true, like on the cigar side of things. Certain things you're supposed to be tasting in the cigar that don't. You may not necessarily taste that in the Angel's Envy, or is it pretty pronounced?
You get that sweet notes from the aging at the end. I mean, bourbon is all about aging. So is tobacco, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're so similar. Like there, you have 3 different bourbons. We have 3 different cigars.
I'm gonna try the Envy.
And we all taste something different out of, you know, the cigars, just like the bourbons do on that.
Yeah, that's definitely a step up. The Envy versus the Trace. I was just going to say something about that. Oh, it escaped me. I have another drink.
So that's kind of similar how it goes on pricing in
Right.
bourbons as cigars. You know, maybe the aging process, the ingredients they start with, and how much they make. Because that's what governs pretty much the price on cigars. You know, if they only make it so much of this wrapper, you know,
Right.
that's why one cigar is more than the other.
Yeah, because
on
they
the
don't
pricing.
really know exactly what this cost, what
No.
that cost. They know what their total costs are and what everything involved as a whole was, and then they kind of reverse engineer it from there and figure out what the market value is for a cigar.
I know what I was going to mention. As far as drinking a good whiskey, connoisseurs will say you should never mix a good whiskey with anything but a glass. No ice,
That's what I was
no
gonna
water,
ask.
God forbid, no soda. But to each his own. You know, if that's the way you like to drink it. I will say this: if you are drinking it mixed or diluting it down a little bit, don't spend as much money because you're not going to get the full pleasure out of it. You go step down if you're going to mix it with.
So now I notice you here. You like your Manhattans.
Yes.
So do you mix up what you use to put in your Manhattans?
Here in Smoke Rings, I drink my Manhattans all the time with Templeton rye. I think the rye has a little more flavor, not quite as smooth as a bourbon, but in a Manhattan it's being mixed with vermouth and a little bit of bitters, and I just think that the Templeton in a Manhattan makes its presence a little more pronounced than some of these other bourbons. So that's the way I drink it.
So like with a Manhattan, you could use any bourbon or rye or anything to start as your base.
A lot of people
we do
use
a lot
Crown.
of Crown. That's what I was going to
Yeah,
say.
Crown is a good. It's not really a bourbon. It's a blended whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just like Four Roses,
Right?
Or something like that. But the other things that you'll see in a grain bill in a bourbon besides the corn is they'll have a little rye in there, a little wheat, and a little barley, but it's predominantly corn for bourbons.
So that's a whole other learning process for me on how that's made. Now, like you said, after I sip this a couple times,
done?
Yeah, I'm
Ready
done.
for another one?
I don't know. Let's take it slow here. Let's not get too crazy. But I had a little bit. But like the first one took me a little bit. But then after that, you got accustomed to it on the flavor and the taste. And I'll definitely try it again and experiment with it because I like to try different things. And it definitely gave my cigar a different taste with the bourbon.
Do you like it?
Doubt, yeah.
You do like it?
Yeah, it gave it I don't know, like, I don't want to say flavor, but like an infused, like that bourbon, I don't know how to, but it definitely changed the taste. Like then if I was drinking, a beer I usually drink, like vodka tonics with lime, it definitely changed the taste of the cigar a little bit.
By activating different parts of the palate.
Well, another common experience between cigars and whiskeys is I've had a whiskey at a bar and I thought I was all crazy about it, like, oh my gosh, that's great, and I'd maybe have another one, and then I'd go buy a bottle, and then by the time I get to the midway through the bottle, I'm like, I don't like this as much as I thought I did.
Yeah.
Have you had similar experiences with cigars
Oh,
when you buy a
absolutely.
box, and by the time you
Absolutely.
get halfway through it, it's like is that a consistency thing, or what? Or is it
No,
just...
I think I get just different on the taste. Now, I've also had cigars. The more I smoke, the more I like it. Like right now with the Port Larignana that I have. I've seen the more I'm smoking them, I'm liking them more than I did in the beginning. But yeah, I've had some where, the first 2 or 3 were, oh, I love this cigar, and I get a box, and then like you said, after
There's a lot of factors that play into that too.
10,
The mood when you're smoking that cigar, the atmosphere, what you're eating, what you're drinking. A lot of that plays into it. I'm sure if everything were held constant, that cigar would probably be very, very consistent.
Yeah. But even like that, on vacation when you're smoking more, if you're out all day, you're smoking, you're drinking more, you could do it more and enjoy it a lot more than if you're, tied up in your everyday world and
a little more carefree, and you kind of, you're just enjoying yourself,
My favorite thing is to go out on my patio,
right?
light the wood fire, cigar and whiskey, and you're not going to get me to move.
Right?
Yep. It's about that time of year when it's starting to get a little cooler at night. Nice fire.
Still comfortable though.
It's very
still
comfortable.
Nice out, not
Very
bad.
comfortable. It is nice.
Yeah.
For sure.
That was good. But thanks, Kenny, for filling us in a little bit on bourbons. I'm going to start sampling more
Good.
now, and when we're here, and like you said, we're going to be back to our Whiskey Wednesdays here soon, and get some different ones in like we've had. Like, remember that one time, real quick, what was it, the Pappy Van Winkle? We were able to get, a bottle or 2?
Which is very hard to get.
Yeah, there was a
Raffle.
lottery or raffle or something that time.
Just to have the pleasure to buy it.
Yeah.
And to try it. But I remember you saying after that, it was good, it wasn't bad, but you still...
I think everyone at that Whiskey Wednesday agreed. They kept going to the Angels Envy.
Yeah.
But then again, that Pappy that you got was not like the upper end.
Not the top. It
was still
middle of the road.
a harder thing to come by.
Right. Yeah. But, well, hope you enjoyed this little bit of bourbon and cigar talk, and we'll talk to you again.
See you next week.